All right, we now welcome on Evan Kent. He is co-founder, correct, of the Crown Club. Tell us all about the Crown Club. Tell us about all the stuff you do, the tailgates, the website, Twitter, everything. Sell everybody on the Crown Club.
It's a long story. To really do it justice, I got to start off with a little over 10 years ago, my brother and I started a campaign which was called Bring Back the Buzz when we were the Bobcats. The whole intent and purpose of that was to return the Hornets moniker back to the city of Charlotte. And that went on for a couple of years. And of course, that's where we got our massive following, ended up on ESPN, the whole 9 yards. And then, of course, it actually happened. The pipe dream actually occurred. And we got our name. We stayed as Bring Back the Buzz for a couple of years. We did events here and there. But we just felt like our mission had changed a little bit. Our purpose wasn't just two brothers screaming at the top of the mountain anymore, give us back teal and purple, and then having people retweet us. It felt like there was and it also didn't feel right for us to demand this name to come back, and then as soon as it did, walk off to the sunset away from this, as if we just, didn't ask I guess what would now be valued at around $1 billion corporation to change everything. So, we decided to turn more into a fan group. We have a sister group on the Panthers side here in Charlotte called Roaring Riot. I've worked with them for years. And they had the structure ready to go. They've been doing it for a while. I mean, their first ever member actually signed up at a Bring Back the Buzz event. So it just made sense for us to partner up, And they had the infrastructure, and, Scotty and I had the marketing and the connection with the fan base already. So we just, last year made a leap and, went towards a membership base. And it's been one hell of a first year because, doing tailgates for 40 games, that's a part-time job in itself. But
yeah,
we did away trips to Atlanta, New Orleans. We've had watch parties, and we're close to 500 members. And for year one, it's been a hell of a ride. I mean, if you're a member, you get everything from free food at tailgates to discounts on merchandise to access to a Slack channel where, honestly, on my other screen on here right now is everybody just talking Hornets 24/7, all the members together. We're organized now, so we have a little bit of a buying power. So as a Hornets fan base, we can organize things like when the last minute thing happened in Atlanta. We organized for the playing game, we organized a place for fans to organize and get together before the game and hang out with other people wearing teal and purple. And, then we organized them to sit in a certain section. And that just kind of, it just adds perks in what it means to be a Hornets fan. Now I have this family and this group of people, this core of people that I get to, it's not just me and my brother going sitting alone in a game, just in our season tickets. It's friends. It's people now I've known for years. And we get to cool things like do charity events together, just other causes. So it and also get to prove that small markets have passionate fans.
So do you like to think that you guys played even a small role in the Bobcats shifting back to the Hornets?
I'm always weird about that when people ask because I don't want to say yes. That sounds very pompous to be
yeah,
we did, but I will say our name was Bring Back the Buzz. And the slogan the team used to announce the return was "Back the Buzz."
Yep. So, I remember that.
We were very annoying. It was they ignored us for a long time. Obviously, I can understand why. If you can't make the change, but when you have a whole section of Hornets fans and you're actually having to mute the audio because our fans of hundreds of people are in the game chanting Charlotte Hornets at a Bobcats game. And people are hearing it through the broadcast at home. Yeah. That's kind of hard to ignore. So do I think they wanted to do it? I think it became available, but I think we kind of made them, probably push the timeline a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Patient about doing it, but I think we kind of forced the conversation. It's one of the most iconic sporting brands in the world, even if we're not the most successful. It's definitely something that's recognized around the world, and it belonged to us. So people here were very passionate about getting it back.
Be honest, doesn't a small part of you, it can be this small part of you miss the Bobcats?
I would say, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like there were no expectations, so there was no real grief. I mean, every year was kind of going in like, yeah, we're gonna suck again,
Here we go again. Yep.
But I'll tell you right now, as a Hornets fan, like everybody looks good in teal and purple. I did not look good in that orange. I'll be honest, just not reflection. But like suddenly I feel more pain when we lose, even though I was a diehard Bobcats fan, season ticket holder. It said Charlotte across the chest, so it was my team, even if I hated the cross-eyed mascot.
That's fair. So Carter, if you're cool with this, I just want to get right into it.
Let's do it.
Give us your take on the James Borrego firing, because we followed your account for a while, and I know it's both you and your brother tweeting and doing stuff from that account. I've seen mixed tweets about Borrego. I've seen a lot of tweets backing him for the first couple of years, and even last year when he started to catch a lot of flack for the LaMelo situation. But then I saw a tweet after it was done that was like, "Oh, this was the right move. It's time to move on from Borrego. He can't lead this team to the playoffs." So, what's your take on it?
So, I mean, Scotty and I have always backed Borrego up until probably about midpoint this season. I think he switched a little bit up, and he has a stance on that we talked about on our podcast. Me, I was more of he's doing a great job developing this team. It's a young core. We wouldn't have had, there's a reason why Devontae got picked up and we were able to trade basically, which was a second round pick for a first round draft pick. Thank you, Pelicans. Like you have to give him credit for his success. It's hard for me sometimes because did we ever really put a good roster in his hands? Nah, not really. You never really gave him you never gave him a rim protector. So you don't know if he actually could have necessarily succeeded. But I do see the holes in some of his strategy, when it comes to rotation and timing and everything like that. But it's also, how do you plan a defense when you don't really have a roster built to defend that has forced to play in the zone without a rim protector? It kind of puts him in a bad situation. Now, I applaud him for all the development. Now, I would say I'm not shocked by this, but I would say it kind of was a move that means that you are winning now. There's no you are developing any more conversation. Like that's done. Like
100%.
If you fire him, you got to bring in somebody that for sure is a better option. There's no
that has that playoff experience.
Yeah, I mean because he was, if you think, he was like the longest head coach we'd had in a very long time, and especially for a young team, like that stability, that constant is very important. I mean, because we've gone through there was years where I think we went through 4 coaches in 6 years first stretch. And I mean, that's terrible for development. That was why we were such an in developing talent. So, I mean, secretly, even on earlier in the season, I was like, I would have loved it if we could have had him as like a director of player development, and then he handed off the head coaching role. That would have been fine with me. I just don't like how everybody's so absolute in this conversation. When I think the rational conversation is somewhere more in the gray, right? He had his pluses, he had his minuses. If it's time to move on, then it's time to win. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, because what do you say to those people that are just hardcore? Like the Hornets are beyond stupid. Because throughout the years, I mean, we're obviously all Hornets fans. We've made horrendous decisions year after year. And then lately, it's kind of weird that we kind of expect to make good decisions. And right now we saw, I think it was Chris McClain, the Mac Attack in Charlotte local radio. He was thrown off completely by the firing, thought it was a terrible decision.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, I don't know. I would say, and I'm not talking about Chris specifically, but I'd say there's a lot of media in Charlotte that hasn't necessarily been here a long time and doesn't really have full context of the situation. I think there's also this thing within Jordan now where he's like, all right, it's time to make a move. We've been kind of delaying for years and years, pushing kicking the can down the street. And I think, overall as an organization, I don't think he wants to do that anymore. And that's why I'm like, okay, if you're doing this, then it's time. Everything beyond this is honestly the most important offseason and probably Charlotte Hornets history. Because, without even getting into the conversation about Mitch and what he, how long is he sticking around and for how long? It's honestly the paying miles to actually getting, you made the decision, you had to go get an actual head coach, and now you have to go get an actual center because you get a center this offseason. So it's just like if you were hung up on Borrego, I don't know. I think it's just he had his purpose in his time, and I think it really comes down to what they do next. I think that just really explains that entire move. It's either a bad move or it's a good move based upon the next step. So I can't blankly agree with anybody saying whether or not it's the right or wrong move at this point, because we don't know the rest of the story yet. And I know that's kind of like not a sexy answer, and it's not like a tabloid response, and it's not going to get clicks, but I think again, it's the rational conversation.
Yeah. And we've been talking a lot about this, and I kind of argued that this move means that the Hornets are a couple of years ahead of maybe their original rebuild process, and they're kind of like, okay, now's the time to win now. We're over the player development. Because I feel like the Hornets, dropped to the 10th seed the last 2 years. I feel like they're not the 10th most talented team in the Eastern Conference. I feel like they should be above that. Correct me if I'm wrong. So do you think, here's my question, do you think if Borrego wins one of the playing games this year or gets us into the playoffs either last year or this year that he gets another year? And maybe like that's solely why he got fired, is because two fails in a row in the playing tournament.
I know people hate the oversimplification, but I do really think it comes down to those 2 games, right? Like, you have to believe that. It is embarrassing, I would say, probably as an owner, when you had that loss last year and you were able to rationalize it. You had your GM come out, and everybody's saying that playoffs is the goal. I would say at the beginning of the year, I thought that was a little lofty once I saw the rest of the talent in the East and how the other teams are going. But when you hang that sign up, that has the box scores, and you say you're not doing that again, and then you go and do it again, like, I feel like that kind of they felt embarrassed a little bit by it. And is it like a knee-jerk reaction? I hope to God not.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah.
I feel like, to me, if you make that move, then you better have a plan already in place of what you're going to do. You better have already been talking to somebody. So you better already have candidates lined up. I think is the real thing. So I think it really does come down to those games. I think he would have got another chance and he would have got a center, but it's weird because Mitch said those goals, but then he also admitted in other interviews that we were ahead of schedule, which I think anybody's been following this team and watched the terror part of the roster to the rebuild that we've been having. And then you look at the win totals over the years increasing. We were definitely ahead of schedule, but like, I guess some people were just overly shocked. Like, we're so ahead of schedule, we're willing to fire our developmental coach. And I think that's where some people, get a little scared. And I think my only, like I said, like, you fire James Borrego, like if you have somebody who's an experienced winner in place, or have a plan.
Who's that coach then?
We talked about it on our podcast. It was it's just got to be somebody that invokes stability, right? Because you can go get that center in free agency, and there's a question mark about who this coach is. Like, if you bring a name that nobody knows, and these players aren't like, oh, I know Frank Vogel, like, right? Like I've seen him do things in Orlando. Maybe the Lakers situation wasn't necessarily his fault, but like, is he somebody that comes in and has been there and done that? So I'm a free agent and I'm looking to come to Charlotte. It's not a big question mark for me. There's stability and some sense of certainty that I know what I'm going to get if I join this team, right? Like, and if I'm LaMelo and Miles, I've heard his name. I don't want it to be some assistant coach. Like, because if I'm in LaMelo's camp, right, and they fire the head coach and the GM maybe leaves, and then this question mark of a guy at head coach. I mean, I could probably see where their camp is like,
that's
right. Like, so it really comes to, again, this is why it's the most important off season. And for me personally, I know a lot of people have a lot of faith in getting somebody from another program or an unknown name, because we're watching situations like the Pelicans right now, right, where they have a guy that not many people knew and is now coming in and is really, galvanizing the troops down in New Orleans. But I don't think necessarily I don't think it'll be a good reaction to this question mark from a coach. Yeah. Even if it turns out well. I do believe the initial reaction, no matter what the ending is, the initial reaction to that selection will be oh shit.
So I'm going to say a couple names. I want to get your initial, not like you don't have to give like a long answer, but just your initial reaction if the Hornets hired this person as their head coach. First one, Mark Jackson.
No.
Okay, exactly. We're on the same page then.
Whoa. With all due respect, no.
I think it's honestly that name has been more for the memes. You know what I'm saying? Reactions. I would flabbergasted if you go from Borrego to Jackson. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
All right. How about somebody like Mike D'Antoni?
So we were upset about our defense being lackluster. Another coach who had no defense. We had a weak philosophy, and we're going to go to somebody who has no philosophy. So
we can just double the offense. We don't need defense, right? It'll be okay.
I mean, we pretty much tried to do that already. And when push came to shove in high pressured moments, like I don't think that works for a team that is this young.
No, I agree.
All right, let's cook it with some gas here, Coach K.
All right,
how fun would that be? Honestly, how fun would that be?
I would love to have him in the building. I do not believe, and we have some great basketball minds in the state, right? Especially at the college level. It would be wonderful to have the meeting of the minds come together in a neutral ground in the Charlotte Hornets. You'd be stupid not to want to have his brain, or have him be able to come in and give a motivational speech to these kids, right? But simply with an 80-game schedule, I don't think he would have it physically in him. I mean, we watched it with a basketball stuff from a college basketball season, which literally falls into a small pocket of the NBA season. So I just don't know physically. He has the mind. I just don't know physically if he could do it.
Yeah, when we go on a West Coast road trip in January, he's getting a back injury. He's not going on that trip.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think I think it is a sexy name, right? But I think it would do better for us to just have him as somebody who's more of a consultant or who comes in and talks to, like, if we're going to continue on developing players, who has developed young talent more than him, right? Who has taken these unhinged youth players and brought them together for championships more than Coach K. And I think also you look at the Olympics experience, he's not going to be intimidated, coming into a room with a LaMelo Ball when he's won gold with LeBron James, right? Like, It's not like he's not going to take any star's shit. So I would like to have him maybe, it would be nice to have him to just know for sure he's going to answer the phone call when you call.
Okay. The last thing I want to say about the coaching thing, I got a couple receipts here from your Twitter account that I've because we've been following you for a few years now, and some of your takes we don't really agree with. Don't know if it's you or your brother.
Let's before you get into your question or bring up the tweets, confession booth time. I think probably about 30 or 40 times. I think I've followed you guys since 2016-ish. I've probably sent 30 or 40 DMs to group chats or friends saying these guys are the dumbest people on planet Earth.
Always just.
You are pretty stupid. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, the thing is, maybe I'm sending your brother's tweets. It might not be your tweets.
I would say that him and the account can have moments where it is a little too personality, but we do match up on about 90%. A lot of the times, somebody will be more passionate than the other and drop a hot take, and we'll be like, I mean, I might agree with you, but I don't know if I would have put that one out there. But it just was something fun. Like, at this point, we still do share a lot of our opinions, but like I said before, Crown Club serves a different purpose right now. So, I mean, like especially on other platforms, we try to keep controversial takes to a minimum because we don't want people to think that we're speaking for all 500 companies, right? So, stupid shit over the last 10 plus years. I mean, I've learned a lot, and I learned throughout the season. I mean, I've had, go ahead. I'm not ashamed of anything I've said. I've said it. I might just.
Oh, no.
But
no, those one.
I mean, yeah, because before the last thing, we've all said have had some horrendous takes. I hated Miles Bridges for the longest time. I thought Miles Bridges was never going to make it. Thought he was terrible. Completely wrong on that. I was probably right on like Frank Kaminsky though, because
if you listen to one of our podcasts, my brother and I had a heated conversation about PJ and Miles, and I was all defending Miles, and he was ready to give up. I think it was probably about midway through last year, and I was like, nah, this guy's going to, yeah, okay. Yeah, Mr. Barbecue himself with the Kaminsky jersey. Yeah, so, no, everybody's got him, man. Everybody's got him.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's when you're probably the largest external entity that talks about the Hornets outside the Hornets, that is dedicated to the Hornets, you're going to say some dumb stuff.
So back when the Hornets drafted LaMelo 3rd overall, I wasn't one of those like huge LaMelo stands that are always in y'all's comments, but I wanted like him to get the keys to the offense pretty early. And one thing from the Crown Club Twitter account that I consistently saw, like I have a tweet here that's like, it's from New Year's Eve on 2020. It says, LaMelo coming off the bench and boosting that second unit is what's putting us over the top to win some of these games. He does not need to start. Developing himself in the second unit. Rotations for Borrego have been spot on. I wanted him to get the keys to the offense early. I wanted to get your take on that. I know we're a couple years removed from that now, but just like tweets like that, like wanting LaMelo on the bench or, anything like that.
No, I honestly think, and I still agree with that at the time.
Okay.
In November, like, I don't think it made sense to just throw this kid out there and just, kind of reinforce a lot of the mistakes. I mean, and plus, I think it is also character building to earn the starting role, especially if you have a guy who's been there and Devontae Graham, who was honestly a leader on the team. Like, it is much better for him to come in and prove his worth, because that'd be a locker room, like, in my opinion, it would be a locker room disaster to just steal that away from the guy that's literally your glue. And
yeah, that's fair.
And I think, LaMelo has an ego. He's a personality, right? That's why we all love him. I think it's a humbling experience. You don't I think a lot of players come into the NBA out of college and have gone through, and not even from, I mean, obviously LaMelo's different because he didn't go to college, but it's like a book night. He's probably the star on every single team he's ever been on. But that ain't the case here in the big leagues, right? Like, you have to earn that role. You have to earn that respect. So I know, but it's not like LaMelo wasn't getting minutes.
That's true.
It probably wasn't to what everybody wanted. But I also think he added a level that made it so when we went to our second unit, we weren't just desperate, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think if you give him the starting, because I don't think his development really would have changed that much. I mean,
okay.
Really would have had. Again, he's a superstar. He'd probably be in a similar spot to what he is now.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good answer.
Real quick, we'll probably close on this. We're almost out of time. What do we do with Gordon Hayward? Because it's kind of a tricky situation, because it's almost like, let's relate it to the Panthers. It's like Christian McCaffrey, not to the same level, but basically.
Yeah, no, I honestly, one of the tweets I got roasted for the most this year was comparing the two of them when he got hurt the second time this season. I don't think I was wrong, but maybe it was a little too soon and some people got offended by it. But I do think it's a nice parallel, because when they're on the field, they are a huge difference maker on our roster.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of hard. It's like, if you're never out there, what value are you really providing, right? Like, what's the point of keeping you around if you're not actually going to hit the court? He was a calming presence on the court when he was on it, and that was his value. Maybe at this point, we've probably outrun the need for Gordon, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
These guys are playing and developing more, and plus he's just holding up too much money. I was actually one of the, I remember in the middle of the year, I think it was on our podcast, where I brought up the Lakers being a kind of team that would be interested in him. And I was definitely not Russell Westbrook in the exchange, but I was thinking, okay, who's a team that believes they are contending now?
Yep.
Or they should be contending right now, that needs to make a move, and that, they can also put him on the roster and limit his minutes, that, is willing to bite that because they think they can win a championship now. I think there are teams that might look at a Gordon Hayward and be like, all right, maybe he doesn't make sense in Charlotte anymore, but he could make sense here, and we could make sure that he doesn't, get too many minutes if that's the issue, right? So, no, I think he's got. It sounds harsh, but I think he's got to go from a monetary and from just from a roster standpoint. Like, we need to get that money for Miles, and we need to get a center. And we, like I said, I think we moved on from needing a board.
So what did you think about the whole injury situation? I feel like the Hornets played it very close to the vest. They weren't releasing a lot of specifics about his injury, timetables. Maybe they just didn't really know. And then he came back for that one game in Philly and played 15 or 16 minutes, and that was it. Like, is that not bizarre? Is that not bizarre to you? Like, what do you think was actually going on?
I think it's probably been the most frustrating thing, and I believe I tweeted it out last year when this happened. It's there, and then it happening again this year was super frustrating because it's, the guy you're paying the most money, and you're not telling anybody what the status or updates are on this guy.
Yeah.
And he's supposedly the guy that you guys say are the reason why we're winning. I mean, you look at when he was on the court, when he was off, we all saw the records at the time, right? We all saw the winning percentages when he was on and off. So, if he's that important, then you should know and you should be sharing, because as a consumer, I have a very interesting take on this, because a lot of people are like, the fan doesn't deserve anything. And I'm like, nah, this is a two-way street. This is a relationship. We are consumers. I'm a season ticket holder. I believe I at least paid for one toilet seat in that arena. So I feel like I should be able to know, right? What's going on. And so the lack of communication has just been, and you can't really tell if it's from the Hornets standpoint or if Gordon just disappears and his superstar camp is just giving,
True.
these press release kind of responses back to the Hornets and not telling them, because in a lot of cases with these injuries, some athletes view it as being, if you give up that information, you're giving up your power over the team, and especially in a player power driven league. It happens a lot in the NBA, right?
It was just frustrating because it would just be like left foot or left ankle, no timetable for return, no updates. Just every game, the injury report looked the exact same. And then all of a sudden, randomly, it was like, oh, injury report for Philly, probable. And everybody was like, what?
Yeah, I just don't think you can go a month and a half and not hear anything about your supposedly star player who, as Mitch said, the best guy on the roster. If that's the case, then, you should be a little bit more detailed about a timeline of what's going on. I mean, there was an interview where I don't even think JB knew, other than the fact that he was in a booth. So, my coach doesn't know. How is he playing?
That's a weird situation.
Easier? I don't know. Was JB lying to us? Again, there's just a lot of weirdness around the Gordon Hayward situation that is just doesn't leave me wanting more.
I agree.
All right, we'll close on that. Evan, thanks for coming on, man. Check out the Crown Club. What's the website? What's the Twitter? Put all that info on here as well.
Yeah, it's crownclubclt.com. Believe it, on all the platforms, it's at Crown Club CLT. So, which is why we keep getting called Crown Club CLT. We should go Crown Club CHA. I don't know.
The shot, the purple jersey,
the curse.
Yeah. So it's we are the Crown Club. That's the name. So honestly, you can Google it. You come up. It's just $33 to be a member. You get this sweet shirt I'm wearing. You get a jersey patch. You get, like I said, all the perks before, free food before every game. Basically, if you show up to 2 games and you eat those wings, that pays for the membership right there, right? So, and then we can just get to do cool shit together. The more members we got, so it's just it's a fun time, and like I said, it's a great community we're building here, and I'm excited for the future, whether it be the team. Even though there's always question marks in this off season, for the first time, I think I'm optimistic that we will do right things, right? And that was one of the main reasons why we made the switch, because it was all right, if we're changing the culture, this seems like the right time to do it on the upswing of the team, right? So, there's things and initiatives that we're working on, like chapters in Atlanta, possibly, other away trips, to Miami, New York, the whole 9 yards. It's all about raising the fan experience. So I implore anybody to check us out. DM messages, add us if you got any questions, and let's go Hornets.
And leave some angry replies in the Twitter comments as well, obviously.
Yeah, we've been known to drop a tweet like it's a bomb and walk away. So we've tried to do. We've failed a little bit. We've tried to pull back on some of those now that we're just not just speaking for Scotty and Evan.
Yeah.
All these members that we represent.
Everybody check them out. They do some freaking awesome stuff. Check them out. Crown Club on Twitter. Evan, thanks again, man.
Thank you, guys. Anytime.
All right, we're back with Grant and I. NFL Draft first round just concluded. We're recording this a little after midnight Eastern time. I mean, out of all the drafts, it wasn't insane with all the stuff that happened. It was a solid draft. Draft night usually almost always delivers, but I thought it was an entertaining draft.
Most definitely. No, it was super. I mean, it was check the boxes, D-line, O-line, right, to kind of start out, kind of like what we expected. But the A.J. Brown, I think, highlighted the draft, right? The draft talk for sure with the biggest trade.
Yeah, 100%. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to start at the top. We're going to go through basically the top 10 picks, and then we're going to go through the rest of the first round, what picks we liked, what teams like, let's just shout out Dylan, the Titans. What are the Titans doing? A lot of people like the Titans, what they're doing. It's a straight split. You either love them or you hate what the Titans did in this first round. All right, let's start off. Jacksonville picks Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. First pick. People didn't know this was probably the most sneaky first overall pick we've heard in years, because every year we okay, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield. You know by the morning of the draft who they're going with almost 99% of the time.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, it was Thibodeau for the longest time, right? And then it transitioned into Aiden Hutchinson, right, for a long time. That was the consensus number one for sure. After the season ended, it was pretty much Aiden Hutchinson for like months, I feel like. And then recently, basically since the combine, when we tested out like out of this world, like off the charts, that's basically when it started, right? The whole idea of all those guys looking at the potential, they're like, ooh, he may be in the number one action player in this draft. That's what it went down to. But yeah, I think as of weeks ago, that was kind of it was a Vegas favorite at that point, right? Crazy.
Yeah, by this morning, he was about minus 400, it looked like, on most of the sports books. I mean, I don't really know. Like, I feel like that this pick has bust potential. Like, obviously every pick does, but like usually with the number one pick, you're like, some quarterbacks, like obviously Baker, kind of a bust. I mean, it's not like full on because he did win Cleveland their first playoff game in years, but it doesn't have that same like, holy crap, this is franchise changing pick.
Like Jadeveon Clowney or whatever. When I'm sure, I don't know if he went one, but he was like that kind of like player, right? Where it was like just a player you couldn't miss on, right? Chase Young, like those kind of people that just like are guaranteed, like they're going to be like stars in the NFL. And you're right, it almost doesn't have that vibe. But he was one of five first rounders for the Georgia Bulldogs on the defense. One of five.
That's going to be Duke this year in the NBA.
That's insane, bro. One of five. They literally broke the record for most first-round defensive players drafted first round. It's insane.
I mean, that was one of the best defenses we've ever seen in college football this year.
They were locked down. But, I mean, 5 in the first round, and Nakobe Dean's still on the board, which means he's going to go early second. So, basically, they could have had 6 potentially. I mean, that's insane. Almost had potentially 6 of the top 32 people in the NFL that get drafted, bro. Potentially, and they for sure got 5. So 5 of 32 are just Georgia Bulldogs on defense. I mean, that's like the LSU offense. Remember when like the entire offense got drafted? Now, obviously, it wasn't the whole first round, but it was like all of them got drafted and or like free agent spots. So like the entire offense went, but that they're this year's LSU, right? But for defense, it's crazy, man, insane, super cool.
Then the Lions picked Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan at 2. That felt clear. Everybody knew that was going to happen. Possibly the most Dan Campbell player you could ever pick in this draft.
100%. It was the perfect fit too. I mean, Detroit, right? Played Michigan, all that stuff. Like it made sense. It was too much. It made too much sense, right? It's like, don't overthink it. Just draft them. Like, it's a good pick.
And that's how it was for the Lions last year. Don't overthink it. Penny Sewell, bam.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's what it is, man. Like, it's the non-sexy picks that are like the D-line and O-line that are going to get your team better. Like, you're going to have to build through the O-line and D-line. And then they're going to have to, like, strategically – what I loved about what they did is, like – and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. They basically got players that are really good pieces, but not to win now. Mm-hmm. And so that way, when they strike on a quarterback, they can plug them into a situation that actually has a bunch of really good pieces around it. And we'll talk about the receiver they drafted as well, which is pretty genius because, like, it's not a 100% healthy wide receiver. So, like, he's going to take some time to get back in it, to speed of things. They're going to still suck. That's totally fine because you're not looking to win right now with Jared Goff. Like, that's not going to happen. So you can still suck by getting good pieces around you and then playing for the future when you're actually going to draft a quarterback that you think can actually win you championships. It's pretty dope.
Because the Lions last year were like the Orlando Magic of the NBA. Because Orlando, if you watched NBA regular season games, Orlando was randomly in every single NBA game just because they're like sneaky talented and just play hard every single game, had a solid coach. That's what the Lions are. They never won those games, never closed out those games, especially they probably had a zillion close games that they lost. The Lions, I think, lost on 3 or 4 game-winning field goals.
Mm-hmm.
I love this pick.
Like ridiculous field goals too.
Yeah, exactly. The NFL record beat them. But anyhow, I mean, I love this pick. It was just obvious. It's too easy. Homegrown kid, Michigan, Dan Campbell, everything pointed to this. Number 3, I think this was, I mean, we heard rumblings this morning about it. I think this was the first real surprise of the draft. Derek Stingley going at 3 to the Houston Texans.
Yep. It was a pick that we kind of knew was going to happen. That's why it wasn't too crazy. But honestly, if I didn't know, yeah, we'd be shocked because he wasn't the consensus number 1 cornerback for everybody. Like a lot of people thought Sauce Gardner was better than him. I know we'll get to him in a second, but not that, like the Texans just taking the non-consensus cornerback, like super high, like one of the highest that, cornerbacks ever get drafted, like 3 or 4 is like that's the highest spots they ever get drafted ever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That just checks out for like the Texans. I don't know. And to me, I think Stingley has the biggest draft bust potential just because he's so injury prone. And just like there's a lot of question marks there. Like he's a stud. He's super athletic, but like, is that going to translate to the NFL? And if it does, can he be consistent with it instead of, playing, not playing, not playing, all that stuff. So that one could bite him in the butt for like, early 3rd round pick. And then you take that and you don't take a, proven commodity, in my opinion, which would have been a different cornerback, but we'll see. It's going to play out. It'll be interesting.
That's the thing with the Texans. Like it felt like a great spot where they could have traded down and really just someone who was desperate could have gotten like a 2-3 first round pick or 2 first round picks and a second round pick kind of thing. Cause they just need more players. They just need better dudes and more talent on their team. They don't necessarily need that one guy that's going to change this franchise, because I don't care if you get, let's say, a top quarterback. It's not going to change the franchise at all. They're still not going to make the playoffs. They're still going to win max 6-7 games next year, even if they had a Pro Bowl quarterback.
I just think I don't think a lot of people wanted to trade up to, like, I don't think there are any teams that were suiting like the top 3 picks or top 4 picks for like, big packages like last year. Like last year we saw it because like the premium on a quarterback was so high that San Fran was willing to basically trade their picks for the next 400 years for, Trey Lance, which is super interesting. And right now it doesn't look too bad, because if he does become their starter, right, and he does ball out, then it's a good decision, because look at this year's draft on quarterbacks, bro. There's like none. So maybe they saw like what was up and coming. They're like, we're not willing to like wait and gamble on, one of these guys panning out in a couple of years. Like we got to get our guy now and start developing up him now. So I get it, but yeah, I just think that's why nobody really like traded back early, because I don't think there are that many suitors to like, because nobody wanted to get a quarterback. If there's a quarterback that everyone wanted, then they would have been able to do that 100%. Like there was a consensus number 1 QB that everyone wanted in the top 10 for sure. That would have been the case, but there wasn't. And I think that's why we saw like nothing really happened until like after 10.
This is where it gets fun. Number 4, Jets take Sauce Gardner. I think everybody's favorite player in the draft. A corner with the name, I mean, this is my dumb football brain. A corner with the name Sauce Gardner has a 0% chance bust potential. I mean 0. There is no way. His name is Sauce Gardner. Like, that's my dumb football brain. When you actually watch him, he was straight up locking down dudes. Yeah, it was in the AAC or the American Conference, whatever it's called. He was locking dudes down. I don't think anybody beat him, really. I mean, it was incredible, but it was in a weak conference.
I mean, 0 touchdowns in college is impressive regardless, right? But you can also say he did go up against some pretty good competition in the bowl games they played, and obviously in the national championship semifinal, right? So, like, he didn't allow a touchdown against wide receivers that were Bama. I mean, again, it's for sure not a great, big sample size, but, like, the dude's got the talents, he's got the intangibles to be solid. Like, you definitely draft him there. It's a no-brainer. You run to the podium with Sauce Gardner or Kayvon Thibodeau in that situation. So either one I was happy with as, an adopted Jets fan. So I'm chill with Sauce Gardner at 4. I think a lot of people are super high on him. So I'm cool with it. I think it's the right pick.
A lot of people are asking, are you more of a Jets fan or a Falcons fan? It's got to be Jets now, right?
After my former team, drafted Drake London at 8 overall or 9 or whatever that was, bro, I was so done. I was like, I'm so done with
the first receiver in this draft, arguably not even the top three receiver.
Bro, and injury prone, slower. Again, we'll put it like that way. Slower, for sure, not take the top off the defense type receiver. And you already have Kyle Pitts. It's like they drafted a worse version of Kyle Pitts in the top 10. It makes no sense to me.
We'll get into that one, but Sauce Gardner, unbelievable pick, and we'll talk about it later. But the Jets absolutely murdered this first round. I mean, easily the best team in this first round. Unbelievable job. Let's move on. New York Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau. We talked about it right before this podcast started. At first, you're like, really? Like, they kind of need an offensive lineman. Then you realize Carolina's behind them. And then no matter what, Ike Ekwonu and Evan Neal were no matter what going to be available for them at 7. So it's like, why not take the best edge rusher in this draft? It really didn't matter. 5 and 7 were going to be the same pick. You could just flip them. Exactly.
I mean, you're just like, if you honestly have those two tackles pretty much the same, let the Panthers make the decision for you. You go get the best edge rusher you believe that's left. It's a no-brainer. So it was smart by New York. Like, they got better on both offense and defensive line. You can't really ask for more in the top 10. That's where you want to get better, right? Because those guys are difference makers. Those guys are actual starters. So that was a smart move. It made sense.
Before we get into the Panthers pick, I do want to say the Jazz are about to choke another playoff game. I'm watching it live right now. The Jazz are down to 4.3 left with the ball. Absolute choke job. But let's run into the Panthers real quick. Carolina takes Ike Ekwonu. It's going to take me years to get that. I can't say Shwebwe at Kentucky. I can't say his name. I won't be able to say Ekwonu forever. It's just not. It just my mouth doesn't work that way. Anyhow, every Panthers fan, all offseason, just Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis. We're going to draft a quarterback. Even yesterday, they're like, "Yeah, we want a quarterback. Like, we're going in on a quarterback." Because we honestly didn't think Evan Neal or Ekwonu would fall to us. And then it happened. We had both of them in our laps. We had our choosing. We could just choose either one. It was a no-brainer pick. And every single Panthers fan, that was the longest commercial break of their lives because the pick was in for about 5 minutes. And you had to watch ad after ad after ad, just sitting there thinking like, this franchise is going to screw it up again. We're going to take Jimmy Clausen. We're going to take Jimmy Clausen once again, but 6 overall when we desperately need to have. We have a Pro Bowl offensive lineman just standing there, waiting for us to take him, begging for us to take him to fix this awful, awful gaping hole of an offensive line. When they said his name, oh my goodness, we finally did the right thing. We didn't force a quarterback. There's no need to force a quarterback, especially after watching this first round. I think they had good intel that only one quarterback was going in this first round. I think they had very good intel. And then after the press conference today, Fritterer came out and said, we're going to be involved in day 2. We're going to be involved in the second round. We really want to get involved. That tells me they're going in on Matt Corral or Malik Willis sometime early in the second round tomorrow to get their guy. Because you got to replace Sam Darnold. You just got to.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold's not the option. And again, I was texting. I was like, bro, if they don't take Ike in this situation, they are literally the dumbest.
My phone was blowing up like, oh my gosh, you guys are going to get him. You guys are going to get him. You guys are going to get him. And I was like, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. How are we going to screw this up? Every Panthers fan in their mind is, how is Matt Rule going to screw this up? Because Matt Rule probably wanted Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, probably.
We made the right pick. I mean, this is the only Panthers pick that was this unanimously loved. I mean, every single Panthers fan, 100% across the board is like, this was the dream pick. Perfect. He's a Charlotte guy, NC State, Carolina Panthers fan coming right in, fix our biggest problem besides quarterback in our team. It's perfect. We didn't force a QB issue. And now the question becomes, who do we get? Do we get one of the 2 guys left in the second round between Willis, Corral, or maybe even Howell or Ritter? I don't want either of those guys. Or Jimmy G or Baker. It seems like it's going Jimmy G or Baker.
Honestly, bro, if I was the Panthers, and again, I think for what the Panthers had, like the only pick they had, I'd give them an A, bro. Like that was the perfect pick.
Yeah.
Like what? How much better can you do? You can't. You don't have more picks. Like
He's
for
just
what
going to
they
be a
had-
guy. He's just going to be a guy. You're
Yeah.
going to talk about every year. It's like, oh, he's in the Pro Bowl again. That's dope. He's in the Pro. Like
he was
it's
just not-
every year.
and he seems like such a good character fit for the Panthers too. Super humble, hardworking. Like, bro, it's perfect. So like they did an amazing job, unlike the freaking Falcons, of course, but they did a great job. And like you said, bro, I honestly, if I was them, bro, I would shoot for a veteran. I really would, just because
The team's really set up well around everything. Like
So I'm saying I would push the envelope down the road of like trying to get my future quarterback, because I don't think these guys are it, bro. I don't think these guys are it for like massive game changing quarterback. I could be wrong. It could be Malik Willis. Could be only. I wouldn't risk my franchise on one of these two, like, you know, Matt Corral or Malik Willis. To be honest, like
I don't
go
know
for
if it's
Baker
risking
Mayfield.
your future, because like second
True.
round isn't like, and it's obviously cheap money, but I'm not opposed to anything right now. I mean, obviously you can't go into the season with Darnold. Like between Jimmy, Baker, I just don't want these guys that we're picking up, any of these dudes, to be our long-term fit unless they just play phenomenally well. Like you just can't commit to these guys long-term right away. That's the issue.
I can see Jimmy picking up a fifth-year option for, you know, Sam Darnold. I think I can see Jimmy G there, bro. I really could.
I mean, the team is
like
set up
Jimmy G
really
there.
well. Like we have a problem at tight end. Tommy Tremble's got to step up, but like DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, the defense is disgusting, especially with JC Horn coming back. This defense is going to be awesome. The offensive line is good as long as Matt Rule actually plays Brady Christensen this year and doesn't say he has small arms and says he can't play, which is clearly false. If you watch any games, he was clearly our best guy on the left side. Whenever he played left tackle, he was our clear best left tackle.
Yep. Yeah, he's good, bro. Like he's good. And is Christian McCaffrey back?
Yeah, everybody's back. We're set up really well. It's veteran quarterback is not a bad way, and I would genuinely believe we're a playoff team.
I'd go veteran for a couple of years, see where you're at, and then if you really love a guy, bro, just freaking do whatever you have to do to get to that point to take that guy off the board. That's it, because it seems like that guy ain't in this draft. We'll see what they do tomorrow, but if I was them, I would hold out for Baker or like Jimmy G. Probably take Jimmy G off the Niners' hands, bro.
It'll be interesting. We'll see. All right, before we move on, we're going to take a quick break. All right, number 7, we talked about it before. Giants take Evan Neal out of Alabama. No-brainer pick. They knew what they were doing. They were going to take Evan Neal, Kayvon Thibodeau, no matter what, 5 or 7. Giants did a great job. Like, it would have been They would have been the best team in the draft if they were able to get Sauce Gardner at 5 and then Evan Neal at 7. But you can't really, if you're a Giants fan, this is probably second best case scenario.
It's exactly what you need. Getting better on both sides of the line. You let the Panthers make the decision for you. And then at the end of the day, you no one can blame them if Evan Neal doesn't pan out as well as Icky is, because they're like, well, I didn't have the option to draft him. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's going to draft. Like, we drafted, you know, a DN. So they're chilling. It was the perfect draft for him. It was kind of like almost like, well, we didn't make the decision. Like, it was made for us type things. Like, nobody can get mad at them type things. So I'm like, all right, we'll see how it pans out. But they got better online, so it's important.
Yeah, exactly. No brainer. This is the people kind of say this every year, but like, this is truly Daniel Jones's last chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this has got to be his last chance. But in his defense,
we're going to be saying this like 2035, bro, when the Jets are selecting their 18th first round quarterback, bro. And they're like, Daniel Jones has now exercised his 19th year option, bro.
Yeah. It's I mean, in fairness to Daniel Jones, the team has been awful, and he's always had a bottom 5 offensive line the whole time he's been there. It'll be interesting. I mean, I don't see them like making any real noise, but like, they're a team like in the first 4 weeks of the season, you're like, dang, dude, they're a tough out. And then by like week 10, you're like, the Giants, they're a 14-point underdog this week against the Rams.
They're always money though, bro. They always like cover somehow, like in the random games.
Yeah. Oh, garbage time is Daniel Jones's dream time.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Rest in peace. Bucks Giants game. 3 4th downs.
3 4th downs, bro. Just like 45 seconds, just drives the entire way to the field for a garbage touchdown. They don't even convert the 2-point conversion to tie it. I'm like, this is so stupid, bro.
All right. Then we touched on this one a little bit. Number 8, Drake London, the first receiver out of the draft, out of USC. This was surprising to me. They're like, if you read NFL Twitter, that people are saying like, don't be surprised if Drake London doesn't go first, or he does go first. Look, this screams bust. I think every single person that like writes blogs, writes articles, that does draft grades, every single person can be like, Atlanta Falcons F.
Straight up. Like, they not only reached for a wide receiver by going 8, because I think 8's a little early for a wide receiver. Like, you can justify it, but like, if you're going to go wide receiver, you better go for the consensus, like, healthy number 1, which I think was Garrett Wilson over him. So like, so Falcons, like, and we touched on a little bit earlier, like, you're literally getting a slower, less athletic Kyle Pitts, basically, back-to-back years. Like, what are we doing? Literally, we have so many needs, bro, in every direction you could possibly imagine. And we literally get a slower, less athletic, in my opinion, Kyle Pitts. Like, bro. And I guess it's because Calvin Ridley, you know, the whole thing there, like, they just want a receiver to, like, you know, bring the – because, you know, I guess Atlanta, flashy, like, you know, we like to have those wide receivers. It makes sense, but, like, you're pushing way too hard to find your next Julio Jones. And I promise you, Drake London is not him. Drake London is not that man. I can guarantee it.
I mean, I was shocked because I wasn't like too involved in the pre-draft stuff. I had a lot of stuff going on today outside of sports. I mean, it's just screamed bust. Like, he was looking at this board, you're talking about Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams. In my opinion, you're taking all 3 of those guys above Drake London. Yep. I mean, obviously people are scared off from Jameson Williams after the ACL tear in the national title game, but still, like, this guy's going to be the best receiver in this class, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like, to take it at 8, and that's like you got to be pretty damn sure that the guy's going to be a baller for you if you're taking him at 8, because 8 is a good pick. 8's a very, very good pick, and you're taking somebody that's very risky, injury prone.
There's so many options at 8.
It's just frustrating because you're like, if he does pan out, it's like, that's good. But if he doesn't, and I feel like there's an overwhelming sense of feeling that he's probably not going to pan out to be the 8th overall pick type value, it's like, no kidding, bro. Like, this is the dumbest decision ever. So it's a wait and see game. You never really know with these picks. And again, specifically wide receiver, bro, it's a crapshoot. Like, some of these receivers are just straight. You have no clue who's going to pan out. Like, you know, there's not all Jamar Chases out there that are like automatic. Like, this guy's for sure going to be a baller, like round 1 type receiver. So we'll see. But man, like, it's just classic Falcons, bro. Like, just so many needs, and you stretch yourself to get, for sure, not the consensus wide receiver number 1 off the board. It's just so stupid.
I know. It made me so happy as a Panthers fan. Like, when I saw Drake London, I was like, wow. Yeah, I'm going to talk myself into some ridiculous Panthers stuff this offseason. I can tell you that.
I was the one that was saying after, like, the year we lost the Super Bowl, I was like, blow up the team, bro. Send Matt Ryan out. Get tons of value. Because you can't. After the MVP year, bro. You can't do that after you're that close to a Super Bowl. You can't blow it up. You're like, we just got here last year. You have to go again. Even though it never works out. Like, 100% of the time, it never works out. But, like, you have to do it. I was all about it the year after that too. You know what I'm saying? The year after you try and go for it again, like, I'm telling you, man, they should have blown that team years ago. Now they're in the middle of, like, there's actually, like, so many holes in this team, and they have, like, no draft capital whatsoever.
By week 5, there's going to be an absurd amount of empty seats at Falcons games.
I mean, they use their only, you know, top 10 pick for Drake London. So, I mean, dude, it's pretty bad.
Malik Willis was a lot of people thought Malik Willis might have gone 8 to the Falcons, but now you can trade up to the 2nd round and get him. But let's move on. We got to get going. 9, Seattle Seahawks, Charles Cross. Fine pick. I mean, not really much to say about this one. Like, people talked a little quarterback with him. We'll talk a little quarterback with Pete Carroll. Seems like they like Drew Lock a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you're not looking to win right now.
No, just
where
build.
you're at. So you got to get pieces. Again, same concept as Lions. Like, you're screwed now because you get rid of all your draft capital for Jamal Adams and all these other players. Like,
they recouped some with the Broncos with trading Russell Wilson now.
But yeah, now you got to build because you straight up have no franchise quarterbacks. Now you got to build. It is what it is. And Drew Lock, if he does better, then awesome, man. That's great.
Back to the A-plus team in the first round at 10. Garrett Wilson from Ohio State to the Jets. A little controversy with this one because Jameson Williams on the board, Chris Olave on the board. This feels a lot like the Henry Ruggs pick when the Raiders picked Henry Ruggs over Jerry Jeudy.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those where it's a crapshoot, bro. You don't really know. It's you're just kind of taking
all three of these guys could be very good. You just don't know.
It's just however those interviews went with the specific team. So how they felt when they're interviewing with the player, right? How they felt like a culture fit, scheme fit, just how they were like when they when they were talking with them in person. That's what they have to go with at the end of the day. And obviously, just trust the tape, tell what your eyes say, what your eyes see, and what your scouts like, and just go from there. Because you can't overthink it. Just take the guy you like and then move on. Because all three are going to drive you nuts, right? If you're trying to compare all three, you just got to go with the guy your gut feeling and who you like the most.
This one surprised me. Saints move up to get Chris Olave at 11. Trade with the Commanders. I was a little surprised at that one. I don't like the Saints are kind of in that position too. Like, what are you really doing?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, what are the Saints' goal here? Like, are they trying to like championship team? Or
it's going to be very like all of these first round pick. I think whoever takes Malik Willis and Matt Corral in the first round will explain a lot from their first round, or take them in the second round. Will explain a lot from their first round pick.
Exactly.
But the Saints already traded draft capital to move up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you got to be confident in Chris Olave,
and in their QB, bro,
Jameis.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, bro. Like, they obviously think he's it, bro. I guess I don't know. Like,
yeah. Let's move on. Detroit Lions, Jameson Williams, top. Like, you could say the Lions were an A team too. Like, Aiden Hutchinson is going to be just fit perfectly on that defense. He's going to be a team captain by year 2 kind of guy. Jameson Williams is just a stud. He's just going to be an absolute stud. As soon as he's healthy and ready to go and 100%, that dude's just going to completely change that offense, especially once they get a good quarterback in there. DeAndre Swift, they're starting to build some weapons. The offensive line is pretty solid for a bottom-tier team. They're setting up great. Love what the Lions did.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm saying they're the sneaky, like, my favorite draft, but obviously besides the Jets, like, they're probably number 2 for me because, again, they're putting pieces in place for when they do have that blockbuster trade for a quarterback, or, when they do draft the quarterback they just absolutely love. They have the piece around them where it's not just a absolute, crapshoot when that guy gets there. So I love it. I love that pick. I think it's a good pick because, again, you're not expecting him to be a stud day one. You can ease him into it. You can lose games, and you're still going to put yourself in a great position to, get high picks next year.
Eagles take Jordan Davis at 13. Eagles fans are freaking out. Eagles fans freak out if, like, a penny falls. I mean, if there's rain outside, Eagles fans freak out. If they win a Super Bowl, they're not happy. No matter what the Eagles do, they're not going to be happy.
They just won a Super Bowl super recently, and they're like, this is the dumbest organization of all time. I'm like, didn't y'all just win a Super Bowl like 5 years ago?
You won a Super Bowl.
Like not that long ago?
No, you won one of the most famous Super Bowls ever. I don't care. Jordan Davis, I think it's a good pick. I don't hate it. 14, every person that does, like, draft grades and stuff like that, every blog boy like us, every podcast or sports host is going to say Kyle Hamilton to the Ravens, the best pick. They absolutely stole him.
No.
Really?
Hell no, bro. I mean, I like it, but look, bro.
At 14, not having to move, I think it's a great pick.
No, it's a great pick. That's what I don't like. There's nothing like sexy or like cool about picking best available. Like, yeah, that's awesome. You just picked who was available on the draft board. Like, that, I mean, it's a great strategy, but I don't know, bro. I just like think a safety pick is like, that's cool. Like, it's just, I mean, it's a good pick, but it's like every draft boy that like loves that crap, bro. Like, I'm just like, bro, they picked a safety. Like, they picked the best available player. Like, a monkey could have done that, right? A monkey autopilot literally picked the best available. Would have done the same thing the Ravens did. So, like, yeah, it probably is the right move. But
we could say the same thing about the Panthers taking Icky at 6.
Yes, a monkey would have also picked Icky. That's what I'm saying.
Houston Texans, Kenyon Green, offensive lineman went 15. Not whatever. I mean, I let's be honest here. I don't think either of us has watched any Kenyon Green tape.
Zero, bro.
16 Washington Commanders take Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. A lot of people say this is the sneaky guy. Like, he's sneaky the best receiver in this draft. And a lot of people were like, I would have taken him over Drake London 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. He's the one where it's like, if it pans out, it's genius. If it doesn't, you're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's Jahan Dotson. Like, what were you thinking? So, like, it's a cool one for me. Like, the Commanders picking him. I'm like, oh, that's kind of an interesting one. That's one. We'll wait and see. We'll see how it pans out. But, like, based on what we've seen in the past, like, it could have been a sneaky good pick. Could be nice.
Chargers take Zion Johnson, offensive lineman out of Boston College. Once again, I have no idea who Zion Johnson is, for being 100%.
Sounds great.
I see his name in draft boards. Like, we're not going to lie to you here and say, oh, yeah, we've been watching tape on – I've been on Second Spectrum watching Zion Johnson tape every single night till 2 a.m. I really think he's the guy for the Chargers. No, I straight up haven't. Well, let's move on to the real story of the draft. This was the big piece. 18 Philly trades to get A.J. Brown. The Titans trade away their star receiver and take Treylon Burks. Pretty big controversy there. And let me get the exact details of this trade. I want to see right here. Because now the Eagles signed him to a 4-year, $100 million deal. And the Titans only got the 101st overall pick for it. And
$57 million guaranteed too.
Which is the key there, because it's only half of it's guaranteed. All the money's on the front end of the deal.
Yep. 100%, as it should be.
I mean, the thing with the Eagles is I don't see that big of a difference happening even with getting A.J. Brown, because what are you doing with Jalen Hurts? You're not going to –
That's the problem.
We're going to see a huge regression with Jalen Hurts.
They're like, we're so aggressive. We're so aggressive. I'm like, obviously you're not, bro, because you don't have a franchise quarterback. I mean, maybe you think you do. I don't know. I don't think they do. Does anybody actually think they do?
I think once people realize there's tape out there on Jalen Hurts, I think he's going to get solved like that. Like, I think he's a great guy. Like, obviously, if you've seen any interview with Jalen Hurts and seen anything that he does off the field and all that, unbelievable dude. But there's no, like, every Eagles fan that's saying he's their franchise quarterback is lying to themselves. And I really see a disastrous season from the Philadelphia Eagles, because there's going to be they are going to get hyped up like crazy. You know, every dude in Philly is drunk betting over 9-10 wins for the Eagles going into next year.
Yeah, 100%. Just because of A.J. Brown, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't change who's throwing the ball, bro. And they've had a sneaky good solid, like with with the addition last year of their receiver that they got. Who am I thinking of? The Alabama receiver,
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, Devontae Smith, bro. They've had a sneaky good receiver core already, bro. Like, it's not been the issue, bro. It's been everything else, bro, around it. And like, their defense has always been sneaky good too, bro. So it's like, it's not like they've been on like a weird, like horrible team. Like, they've had good D line, right? They've had pretty solid corner play, kind of, and they've had like sneaky good receivers ish, like not great, but like good ish, and like they're not even close to like. I mean, I guess they're ish close, kind of, and their division's terrible, right? They play against the Giants, the Commanders now. You know what I'm saying? The Cowboys, like that division sucks. Like, you literally have to be one of the worst, like the best of the worst teams in like the NFL, basically, in that section, like in the NFC. So like, it's not that hard to get to the playoffs. So I kind of understand their move, like by like just going so super aggressive, because you see like who are the Commanders going to beat us, or the Giants going to beat us, or the freaking, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Cowboys will clearly win this division.
Yeah, it's like we just have to beat the Cowboys. It's like, yeah, you could probably do that, but like you also don't have your franchise quarterback, in my opinion. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, I mean, like usually, like whenever you do this kind of stuff, you always have to have a take. Like, I love it, I hate it. To be honest, I just don't care about this trade. Like, I genuinely don't care. It speaks more to the Titans than I think it does the Eagles. I think the Eagles think we're going all in. This is our time. All this. I mean, I don't agree with that, but like with the Titans, it clearly shows that like, all right, well, we're gonna reset here. Like we're not gonna force this with Tannehill. Seems like something else is brewing.
Well, do you think when they went with Julio Jones last year, they had Derrick Henry, obviously.
That was their all in.
I think that was the Rams, put the chips in the middle of the table, like, bro, we're trying to do this thing, and it didn't.
But they did it half-assed, where they didn't like all the way going like the Rams. I mean, the Rams are like, screw this, like we're throwing all in, all our chips in the table, like, bam. And then the Titans were like, oh, we're gonna go all in, but like 45% of our money.
Yeah, they're like, I still am for sure holding money back because you don't see it under the table. Like,
yeah,
no, you're
exactly.
Right. And that's the problem. It's like when you half-ass it, like it's not going to work well for you either way. But if like they had gone all in and not won, then you look even worse. So it's
a tricky
hard
thing. Yeah, I mean, if Joe Burrow drives down the field and scores a touchdown on that last drive, we're talking about how the Rams are probably the dumbest franchise in football.
Exactly, 100%.
Let's move on. Saints take Trevor Penning, offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa. Like, this was a guarantee that this was going to happen. They were all over him, loved him. That was probably one of the worst kept secrets. Whatever, probably a good pick. My dumb football brain, every offensive lineman is a great pick in the first round.
Yeah, awesome.
Like, you're like, oh, sweet, we fixed that problem. Big first quarterback off the board, 20, out of the University of Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett goes to the Steelers. So perfect. It aligned. Like, that's everything. I mean, like, that QB room makes so much sense of Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett.
Just checks out. Huh? It just makes sense.
It makes sense.
It does make sense. And the Steelers were freaking running to the podium with that pick, bro. That's what they wanted as QB1, apparently. Like, they were super hyped to get Kenny Pickett. So good for them, man. Like, obviously,
he could be good. I don't know. Like, I didn't want him at Carolina at 6. If Carolina was picking at 20, that's a different story.
That's exactly right. It's like 6. Hell no. 20. Yeah, I could be convinced at 20. And for the Steelers fans that have no quarterback now, yeah, it makes sense.
We were texting about this earlier. I really think this draft is a lot like the Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins draft, where Daniel Jones gets picked above. Like, everyone thinks Malik Willis is better than Kenny Pickett. They're like, he's got better upside. He's going to be better. And Kenny Pickett gets picked ahead, kind of like the Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins thing, because I don't necessarily like either one of them. I don't think either one of them pans out, but like, you just don't know.
Yeah, with QBs and receivers, man, you're like, you have no clue. Especially
the thing
QBs.
is, Kenny Pickett, if you're him, there's not a better situation to go to in football. Like, you could have been a backup for a year and gone in, but like, if you're looking to play right away, like, they'll probably do the thing where they start Mitch for a few games and then he slowly slides in when Mitch has a little ankle sprain, twists his ankle kind of thing. But like, going into Mike Tomlin, that Steelers culture and everything, it's a perfect setup.
Perfect. And great defense. Like, bro, that's all you need. Great defense, great coaching, great environment. You're set. As a quarterback that's trying to come into the league, that's a good situation for him.
Let's run through this. Chiefs take Trent McDuffie, quarterback out of Washington. A lot of people thought they were going to trade up and go after like a wide receiver, Jameson Williams. Turns out they didn't. Probably a good pick. Who knows? Green Bay at 22 takes Quay Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. Everybody's going to make those jokes about Green Bay. They're still not getting Rodgers, the wide receiver. They're still not giving him any help. They might be in the Debo sweepstakes for all we know.
Yeah, straight up, bro. Who knows what's going on there? Because, like, it's exactly what you just said. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But, man, like, it is funny how that – it's just – there's no value there from where they're at to pick a receiver that early. They'd be reaching big time. It'd be the same thing as Carolina picking quarterback there. It's just – you can't do it. You can't do it.
Bills take here Elam? I couldn't pronounce it. That's another one. Terrible pronouncing. Cornerback out of Florida. A lot of people like the pick. I didn't necessarily have an opinion on it.
Yep. Good pick.
They're a team that was like, take the best guy available. They're in that position where I think they're gonna go running back in the second round.
Yeah, 100%.
24 Cowboys, Tyler Smith, offensive tackle out of Tulsa. Probably what they needed. Their offensive line's has been a little suspect, this last year. Probably a good pick. Ravens take Linderbaum, Iowa. I wanted the Panthers. That's a great pick. I wanted the Panthers to go down and get him, but honestly, Panthers got their center in free agency. I mean, good for the Ravens.
I love that pick, bro. I love that pick.
And then pick everybody's going to love. The A-plus team of the draft, Jermaine Johnson, the end, Florida State. I mean, people were talking he might go 10, 11, 12. 26, you got him.
People had him as the ninth ranked player on their boards, bro. Like, in theory, the Jets got 3 top 10 potential players, like, in like very credible, people that know what they're talking about when they're talking about scouting NFL players. Like, 3 top 10 players in the first round. It's insane.
And also, like, Robert Saleh, does it kind of scare you? It all falls on Zach Wilson, and these next 2 years, it's literally like they're setting up great around him. They're doing their work in free agency, getting like Laken Tomlinson, getting wide receivers, Elijah Moore. They probably need maybe one more receiver.
They need like a known commodity. That's what they need. Mm-hmm. They need more like a veteran receiver that's not Corey Davis.
Yeah.
Like, and I was texting you too, bro. I was like, Jermaine Johnson at 10. I was like, I know Zach needs a wide receiver, bro, but I was like, I would literally take Jermaine Johnson and be happy at 10. And
they're setting up nicely, man.
And they literally got him in like 26 or whatever it is, bro. It's insane.
They're setting up real nice. Love. I mean, Jets 1, Lions 2 in this draft, possibly Panthers 3. I mean, no brainer pick. 27 Jaguars take Devin Lloyd. I mean, out of Utah.
It's a good pick, bro. He's a stud linebacker. That's a great pick. Like,
all right, nice.
Like, he's a stud linebacker. He's a good pick, bro. That's all I'm saying, and I'm not gonna talk about the university that he went to, But yeah, I mean, it's a good pick, bro. And the fact that he slid that much, I was actually kind of surprised because he could have gone to the teens for sure, and I would not have been surprised. Like 13, 14, 15 for sure.
Let's see here. 28 Green Bay takes another defensive player, Devontae White out of Georgia.
2 Georgia players. Yeah.
Yeah. And they took Stokes. The previous draft. A lot of Georgia on that Green Bay defense. Yeah. 29, the most Patriots pick of all time. Guard out of Chattanooga, Cole Strange.
It's like, who the hell knows, bro? Who the hell knows?
We're going to see in 9 years, he's team captain running out there doing the coin toss when the Patriots. And they're like, he's been to 9 straight Pro Bowls.
Yeah, they're like, this guy, they literally marked the film on him. They're like, that'll be our first rounder, this guy. And they're like, okay, that works. And they're like, he's a Pro Bowler. And they're like, bro, that's just the most Patriots thing ever. And all their fans like scream like, yeah. It was hilarious because everyone's calling it like, they don't even know the hell that's picked, bro. They've never seen a game of that person, bro. It could literally been a fake name, bro. And they'd all be cheering the same way. It's hilarious.
Something like Mark Smith.
That's what I'm saying. But there's so much
out of University of Kansas City, Missouri.
There's so much trust built in them with that organization now for like what they've done. And it's like, yeah, we'll roll with it. We'll see what happens.
Imagine being in that position. 30 Chiefs take George, Kalafdis, whatever, edge from Purdue. That's what I mean. They need it. That's what they need.
Edge. Yeah, and it's like edges are like premium positions. Great.
You're getting to this point in the draft where it is straight up. I'm shooting darts, shooting blind free throws with my left hand.
I'm hoping I hit on him now.
31, the Bengals take Daxton Hill, safety out of Michigan. Once again, that's a need. Big need for them. 32, last pick of the first round, Vikings take Lewis Sine? Yeah, that sounds right. Safety out of Georgia. Honestly, the Georgia I knew about 3 guys on this Georgia defense, for being 100% honest. That's another need for the Vikings. They needed that. I don't know if that's a good pick. Once again,
that dude can hit, bro. That dude can hit, bro. He is insane in the box. Like, he's a strong safety if I've ever seen one. Like, he will come in and stop the run. Like, that's the kind of player he is. He will he's insane. He's a missile, bro. He's stud. He has great vertical speed, like sideline to sideline speed. It's insane. So it's a great pick. It's just any Georgia player you're going to get on defense is a good pick. I'm fully convinced on that.
Okay, obviously our best team that we like the most in this draft is the Jets. Who do we hate the most? I'll go first. It's a tie. I think it's got to be a tie. It's got to be between the Falcons. And the Falcons have to be in there for the Drake London pick. I think the Titans too.
Yeah, the Titans, because it's like, bro, you literally just traded like one of your best assets for a not known commodity, and you literally like got nothing out of it, bro. They basically swap picks of one of the star receiver 18. I just don't understand the game plan there, bro.
Well, the other thing is the fact that Hollywood Brown got traded for the 23rd overall pick. You couldn't have done better for AJ Brown.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like Hollywood Marquise Brown, bro, is going 23. Like that,
bro. He's just a smaller version of Ted Ginn.
That's what I'm saying. And AJ Brown is way better, bro. Way better. And
I understand, like, you have to pay the guy, but like, you're front loading the deal. $57 million guaranteed is not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I think it's just they have so much money in Julio Jones and so much money in obviously Derrick Henry, all that stuff. But bro, I think you're right. It's probably I would probably say Titans number one, bro. They screwed the pooch on that one big time, bro. They should have gotten. I mean, they could have marketed. I promise you, if they'd marketed AJ Brown to the Jets would have given them way more trade value than what they got. Promise you.
The Jets have been desperate to get in on any of these guys.
They probably could have gotten like at least two second rounders and like something else instead of 18, bro. Like,
I have a legit question for you. Like, let's move into the second round kind of conversation. As a former Falcons fan, would you have rather had Drake London or John Mechie?
John Mechie.
Like, let's say you're picking, like, it's not even where they fall. It's just straight up. You get to choose one. John Mechie, Drake London.
John Mechie, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
John Mechie's going to be a stud in the NFL, and he's going to go late in the second round, possibly even early third round tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. But the thing is, bro, what's interesting to me is, like, if I was the Falcons, bro, I have no intention of adding one receiver thinking I'm going to compete now. I would have dumped that 8th overall pick so fast, bro. And, bro, think about it. You could have gotten AJ Brown. Like, if they did for 18, and I promise that would have been a better move, bro. Like, if you really think a wide receiver is going to change the course of your franchise, then why not just go get a receiver that's a no commodity? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's so dumb to me.
Falcons, man. Yeah, it was the Falcons and Titans were the laughing stock of the draft. It had to be. Ironically, the Jets and the Lions are like, these guys are good.
They're like, damn, bro, they actually made some smart money moves out here, bro. I mean, Joe Douglas, bro, what he's doing in New York, it's pretty impressive, bro. He's getting stuff done. He's getting deals, big money moves done, man.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk a little BYU real quick. Where do you see Tyler Algier going?
That's a good question, man. So I don't think he goes until like
he's third day for sure.
Yeah, third, fourth day. Yeah,
he's the 26th ranked running back in this draft.
Wow. He's the 26th ranked running back in the draft.
On ESPN, yeah.
Jeez, bro. Yeah, he's definitely not going second round. There's no way. I don't think anyone's
or third. I don't think he goes third.
Breece Hall will probably go the first. It'll either be him or Kenneth Walker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of those two guys goes first.
I think Hall goes first.
Yeah. I think it goes like day 3, day 4. I could see that. I just don't know what scheme fit. Probably like he'd be good for any like wide zone running, like 49ers or like, you know,
the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah. He just fits the bill for the Chiefs.
He does. Andy Reid would for sure take a flyer on him too.
Do you think he should have stayed one more year with the NIL money? I think he would have gotten big NIL money.
No, not as a running back, bro. You got to get paid. Like your shelf life as a running back is so small.
That's
like,
true, but
and think about how much they used him in BYU, bro. Like I love, obviously, bro. I wanted him to come back. I want him to come back every year, but like he was getting 20 plus carries a game, getting like absolutely hammered game in game out, and they just use him as a workhorse. You can't like do that for free for multiple years, bro. When you know you're gonna get drafted, just go get paid, bro, because he's gonna last like 2 years in the NFL. I hate to say it, but like maybe 3 years, and then he's gone.
Talking about the second round, kind of dark right there. Like
I know it's sad,
but it's realistic. Like if you watch BYU this year, you just saw it was almost sad watching that UAB game. Like, golly, dude, just let him rest. Like, put him in an ice bath and don't let him run again.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like bro, at the end of the day, Like, it ain't worth it, man. Go get paid. Go get your money. Go get your signing bonus. Like, go get your actual money. Like, because you got 2, maybe 3 years, bro. Unless you like somehow bust out. Like, that's your average for a running back. And I think it's less than 2, by the way. But that's the sad truth.
Nakobe Dean, number 1 player on most websites' boards going into day 2. Georgia easily had 6 defensive players drafted in the first round. He had a 19th overall grade. The real story is the quarterbacks, though. Who is gonna make Malik Willis and who's gonna make Matt Corral their guys?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, if Panthers make a play in the second round, we'll see what happens. I could totally see the Jets moving out and like letting get some more draft capital from like one of these teams that is quarterback hungry, just like even get more more stud picks like in the 3rd round or something like that. I could totally see it. But if they can get Nakobe Dean in the 2nd round too, bro, if they could finish off with Nakobe Dean as a linebacker at like 30, whatever it is they have, 38 or whatever it is.
38, yeah.
That would be incredible, man. That would be like that draft would be insane.
Because the Bucs pick first. The second day is always like sneaky how good it is. I'm excited. Right after the draft, I really like once the first round ended, I really convinced myself the Panthers were going to go in on a quarterback. The more I just sit there and think about it, it feels like a veteran guy's coming in for the Panthers.
100%. I think that's the move though.
100%. Yeah. I kind of want a young guy, but like, it just sucks having Sam Darnold and all the dead cap from Teddy Two Gloves. Kenneth Walker's on the board. It's going to be a great second round tomorrow. But yeah, Panthers, great job. Falcons, F. Jets, A+. Lions, A+. Titans, F-. A lot of averages out there. Pittsburgh could be an A+ or like a D-. Even if Pickett doesn't work out, it's more closer to a D- in this situation. But yeah, that'll do it from us. Thank you for listening. It is late, man. What a fun show this was. Thanks for listening. Once again, check out CarterCast.com. We will have stuff going on there this week. Follow the TikTok at CarterCast on TikTok. Follow it right now. And then don't forget, once again, check out CarterCast.com. Follow us on all socials at Connor_Sparrow, at CarterBA, all socials at The Real Grant FA1. You know where to find us. DM us, shoot us a text, do what you got to do. Find us, reach out, and follow, like, subscribe, rate, review. You know what to do. We have big time interviews coming for you. We have Gene Banks coming on Tuesday, and you're about to hear Evan Kemp from the Crown Club on the back half of this podcast. Phenomenal interview. Absolutely fantastic. We had a ton of fun. Gene Banks, former Duke legend, NBA player, coming Tuesday. And then we have a big one that we'll announce on the Gene Banks podcast coming next Friday. We have been having this one planned for months now. Fantastic time. Big things coming for us. And we thank you once again, and we will see y'all soon. Bye.